Here's the instructor walkthrough for Lesson 1-2. Before you get started as an instructor, you're going to want to make sure that you are familiar with the learning styles inventory you ask your students to take. You're also going to want to make sure that you're comfortable making a bar graph with a spreadsheet. For your students, you'll need to make available the link to the learning styles inventory we asked them to take in preparation for this lesson. You'll also want to make sure that they have access to the video on creating a bar graph in a spreadsheet. So in general, this lesson is about learning styles and gives students an opportunity to understand a little bit about their learning style, and then we create and interpret bar graphs sort of through the context of learning styles, using that as an example as well. This first problem in the class portion, we ask students to take the learning styles inventory prior to coming to class and then record their values here. For students that don't do that before class, I have them go ahead and use these sample answers just for the in-class portion. As you can see, this second problem in the class portion has a little bit of reading attached to it. I encourage my students to take their time, read this paragraph slowly on their own, and then discuss what they've read with their groups, just to encourage good reading skills. Questions 3 and 4, students are going to be using their own information from the learning styles assessment they took before class. Then with question 5, I usually ask them to share the results, share their answer to question 5 with the class. Once we've completed those class questions, I usually go through this technology piece with them as a class. I actually demonstrate how to create a bar graph in Excel in class and give them the opportunity to ask questions while I'm doing that. And then I also point out that there's a video available in the online resources for this lesson. Then the group portion of this lesson, these first 4 questions, actually first 8 questions, go pretty well. Usually students will have a good time discussing question 4. We've got a teaching tip there that you might want to note. And then this second group of 4, same thing, interpreting bar graphs. They usually do pretty well with it. Question 7 will get some of them if they don't read carefully, but they usually pick up on that fairly quickly as well. Then questions 9, 10, and 11, 12, 13, 14 are all about the calories in these different cheeseburgers at burger chains. These questions touch a little bit more on the importance of scale, asking students to note what the scale is on a graph, and then to sort of reflect on why the scale can make a difference in how you might interpret one of these bar graphs. And question 14 usually generates some good classroom discussion. This lesson usually takes 50 to 75 minutes, depending on how long I want to spend discussing the learning styles. If you're interested, there's quite a bit of good reading attached to that Learning Styles Inventory website that can help lead a classroom discussion on learning styles if you want to take the time to do that. Then the portfolio page is pretty straightforward, the technology, then the skills and the applications, followed by the reflections and the looking ahead. This looking ahead portion, question 1, is one that you'll definitely want to point out to your students because it asks them to take a personality test in preparation for lesson 1-3. Then the applications, these first 2 questions ask students to decide which data is best illustrated with a bar graph and which is best illustrated with a pie chart. These 2 questions are 2 of my favorites. Students will oftentimes have the aha moment that we want them to have once they realize that some data is more appropriate being displayed in one form as opposed to another. The next group of questions centers around interpreting these bar graphs on levels of alcohol use. The first 2 questions, questions 3 and 4, are pretty straightforward. Questions 5 and 6 can be a little bit more challenging for students because they have to read the question very, very carefully to understand what it's asking. And then question 7 asks them to describe some trends that they have observed after comparing two graphs. Overall, this lesson is one that students tend to enjoy and don't really struggle a whole lot with.